It is the story of two godly beings from a past era, now buried in the sand. A story of two lovers, one blinded by his fruitless ambitions, and the other accepting her own cursed fate. In the desert filled with betrayal, mass extermination, plagues, and death, if we go back in time a little bit further, we are met with our two main characters. And this is the story of King Deshret and the Goddess of Lovers. Although their story takes place in Sumeru Desert, we start somewhere unknown. Even before the Archon War 3000 years ago, a place which was prosperous at once but is now the home to evil gods fled from the Archon War. This is none other than the Seelie Kingdom. According to Drunkard's tale, this place is supposed to be in the Dark Sea, the space between Teyvat and khaenri'ah, where Enconomia, Bishop Realm, and the Abyss Void Realm are located. According to my previous theory on the Tree of Life in Genshin, I concluded that the Seelies are the offspring of four shades, who are the four embodiments of the Primordial One. The Seelies were given the job to guide humanity, to learn languages and build civilizations. But there was one thing tabooed. Do not be tempted or inquire about the secrets of the skies and the abyss. But the Seelies knew about these secrets because they were a group of heavenly beings. According to Amethyst Crown, Second Who came invaded Teyvat from beyond the firmament. They brought diseases and war to the past era, but also knowledge on how to break the shackles of this world. This knowledge of how to break the shackles of this world is the forbidden knowledge. Since the Seelies were also from the outside world, they could comprehend this knowledge and were able to pass it down to mortals. This is when, according to records of Juyon, mountain spirits, the ancestor Seelie married a human, and 30 days later, the entire Seelie race was stripped of their connection to heavens, knowledge, form, and their ability to communicate. What happened in that 30 days is unknown, but the Goddess of Lovers story might explain what might have happened. Amidst all the chaos, the Seelie, assumed to be Goddess of Lovers, managed to survive and maintain their form. Even she is surprised by how. But I might have an explanation for that too. Stick around till the end and I will explain my speculation. On the flip side, a long time before King Deshret built his kingdom in the desert, another civilization was wiped out on the same plane. The desert was once lush back then, but it was struck by a celestial nail after coming into contact with, let's say, forbidden knowledge. That cursed all the greenery to turn into sand and end that unknown civilization. Some years later, King Deshret built his own kingdom on top of that fallen civilization. For his fortune or misfortune, he did stumble upon the ruins of that fallen civilization. Even though it was not the forbidden knowledge, they were the technology that stemmed from that knowledge. That technology helped his ambitions and made the kingdom prosper, but he never knew what is to come. During this time, the Goddess of Lovers traveled 72 nights straight after all her kin lost their form and were essentially wiped out. She walked so much to the point she bled from her heels, but instead of blood, the wounds became pure water springs. The water flowed into gardens in the desert and made oases on which bloomed night blue water lilies. It is said that jinn are born from water lilies. So the jinn birthed from these water lilies, said to be intoxicated by dreams and loneliness, considered the Goddess of Flowers as their mother. They clung to her, asked not to leave them. So she did. She remained in the garden. How Goddess of Flowers and King Deshret met is not explicitly told anywhere. But I think this garden was King Deshret's. So naturally, he would be enchanted by her. By saying enchanted, I am lowballing it. You would be surprised to see how much of a simp this guy was. In the same artifact description, she stayed in the garden and stopped by once in a while. And when she visited, it would bloom the real Padisarahs. This is why I said they might have met in this garden. When they met, he might have invited her into the palace while letting her visit the garden. I mean, a garden is not bad, but I wouldn't consider that an ideal home. At this time, King Deshret, Goddess of Flowers, and Rukkhadevata were called three god kings and ruled Sumeru together. They ruled from a place called Alhaitham, also known as City of Moon Maiden in Jin language. In these times, Goddess of Flowers was inspired by King Deshret's ambition to become the god of gods and make humanity the king of kings. He rejected the gift from the heavens and started planning a rebellion against them. For me personally, it felt like what Saritsa is doing now. They found something disturbing about Celestia, probably through parts of the forbidden knowledge, and wanted to rebel against them. It's just that Saritsa came into this realization way later, after the Cataclysm 500 years ago, while King Deshret figured it out before the Archon War. Goddess of Flowers warned the king not to follow that path because it will only lead to ruin and destruction. She explained how invaders came from beyond the firmament and brought war, disease, and filth to the land, and how they also brought illusions to break through the shackles of this world, which led the Primordial One and Celestia to be wary of the people having delusions and making breakthroughs. So they sent down the Divine Nail to cleanse the corruption and patch the world, while wiping out all the past era civilizations that came into contact with the forbidden knowledge. She also warns him not to seek the Primordial One or inquire about the secrets of heaven and earth. But he never listened to her warnings and kept going in that path. She phrases this really nicely in the Wilting Feast artifact piece. Even knowing that the journey was to be fought with peril, even knowing those dearest to him were certain to fade before his very eyes, the Red Lord chose a noble lie, shepherding his followers on a path towards oblivion. This tenacity is what she loved about him, but it is hard to say if their relationship was a healthy one. It says, "The Lord of Flowers never knew a love that could be sweet as wine, let alone the paltriness of human emotions." This was when she realized this foolish god was a lost cause. It was better to use him to teach the next generation of humans what not to do. She thought, only through the destruction of a god's delusion can humans learn. So when King Deshret told her his ambitions, she accepted it, but for her own reason. She already knew her destiny. It is not just a riddle, but a key to open a doorway to break the shackles of this land. Knowing what is to come, the Goddess of Flowers unfolded every secret about the sky and the abyss to the king. Using his body as a conduit and offering the oasis in trade, he let the dazzling radiance consume him, to see his deepest desire be made manifest. When he embraced that knowledge, the oasis was covered with a sandstorm, bringing disaster to the entire region. When the Scarlet King came out of that sandstorm, the Goddess of Flowers was already dead. By planning her grand death, she proved her point to the people to never become like their foolish king. I think this is what happened to Seelie ancestor too. The ancestor fell in love with a human, and in between those 30 days, she passed the forbidden knowledge to that human. This caused Celestia to be concerned and punish the human by wiping out his memories and cursing all the Seelies to lose their form and intelligence. Because when they can no longer communicate with anyone, they can't pass on the forbidden knowledge to anyone either. But because they are beings even higher than the gods of Teyvat, the energy eruption they cause when they die is also huge. When gods die in the Archon War, their residual energy remains for thousands of years. Orabash's miasma still lingers after 2000 years. The many evil gods who died in Liyue had so much impact there, Matosius had to sacrifice himself to heal the land, and the Yaksha had to be mobilized to clean the monsters created by the dead god's miasma. Have you seen the aurora in the night sky of Teyvat? Usually, an aurora is formed at north or south pole when solar winds disturb the magnetosphere. But why would it even be in Sumeru, which is called Midland? This is just an educated speculation. The energy outburst from many Seelies dying could have damaged the firmament, allowing the life to refract differently in that one spot, making it look like an aurora. There also might be a reason for a few Seelies to have retained their former form. As you probably know by now, I said Seelies are the descendants of the four shades. But what if there were 4 clans of Seelies descended from the 4 different shades? And what if each shade was given a chance to spare one Seelie from their curse, but with a restriction? Then those 4 Seelies that were spared would be able to retain their form. I'm guessing the goddess of flowers is the Seelie pitied by the shade of life. The artifact dedicated to her is represented by the flower of life, and only from the union of dendro and hydro can the reaction be bloom. Bloom is like a flower bud, ready to be bloom. The flower itself is the symbol of life, so the goddess of flowers being connected with the shade of life is no wonder. Then there is a line of hers that challenges the very concept of death itself. Those who bloom like flowers die like flowers, and rise again with the seasons like flowers can never be troubled by the likes of quote-unquote death. It is not just her. Venti, another Seelie I theorize to be pitied by a shade, this time the shade of time. Like those two, there might be two more Seelies who survive the curse put on them. While who they are debatable, there is a singing Seelie in the Drunkard's Tale who people assume to be the third Fatui Harbinger, Columbina, which I personally think is the Seelie spared by the shade of death. I mean, just look at her. She gives off that vibe of I'm an innocent looking girl who will kill you slowly in your sleep while enjoying it to the fullest. Even Child and Wanderer says she gives the creeps. Back to Sumeru. Then, when the goddess of flowers died, the kingdom of Alhaitham also fell, and the Padisarah garden was also lost, and never have the real Padisarah ever bloomed in Sumeru again. With the fall of Alhaitham, Rukkhadevata, who jointly ruled with the other two gods, parted ways with the Scarlet King and built her own kingdom in the corner of the desert by building a rainforest using the Varuna contraption. While Scarlet King's civilization was splintered into many pieces. Then, using the gems beneath the deep sand as the power source, and with the help of the Jinn, he created an eternal oasis as a grave. I assume this eternal oasis is what we found just before reaching the top of the upside-down pyramid in King Deshret's mausoleum in the Dual Evidence World Quest. It was brief, but all the evidence say that this place might be the goddess's final resting place. All the Jinn who called goddess of flowers mother were lost, so Scarlet King sealed them in bottles except for one for their own safety, and the Jinn also accepted it. That one Jinn is Phrygius, ancestor of Jinn, who is dutied with guarding the goddess of flowers' tomb. Who knows, this place really looks good for a weekly boss. It's not just the Jinn, even the king was falling into depression. It's just sad. This was also when all the corruption started leaking out. People were starting to hear whispers and getting petrified skin. The staff of Scarlet Sand says how King Deshret created the rules in his kingdom so precisely so her people would not suffer the wrath of the celestial nail. But as time went on, he fell into the delusion of removing everything from the world so she might live without fear. A perfect paradise where all three gods would rule the land happily ever after. But alas, they were just delusions. So he asked Rukkhadevata's help to temper the corruption from the forbidden knowledge. As we saw in the cutscene from Kasala, she built 7 towers and tempered the corruption, and while doing so, turned into a child. But the part where Scarlet King sacrificed himself to eradicate the forbidden knowledge didn't go exactly like how it was told. According to the book of Lay of Al-Ahmar, the 3 retainers of Scarlet King forced him to revisit the forbidden knowledge and extract all the information. Although he did decline the plan twice, he did say yes on the third. So he trapped himself in a huge maze built over 200 years and sank into the forbidden knowledge to find an elixir. It's unknown if he found anything or not, but millions of lives of people who lived in that city were killed that night, burying the forbidden knowledge in the sand. The book also says all their souls merged into one and merged with the palace itself, and his body rotted on the throne for many centuries. Recently, when Samiel sat on the throne, he triggered the coup that killed millions of people. But the maze doors, made over hundreds of years, activated and everything was trapped there forever again. Today, there are only 2 places you can never enter again in Sumeru Desert open world: Goddess of Flowers' tomb and the Scarlet King's throne room. He built and killed his own kingdom with his own hands. A violent approach to the problem, but it did put an end to the story, at least for another few centuries. Hey guys, hope you enjoyed that video. Since today is most likely 31st or 1st, Happy New Year's everyone! I hope 2023 will be better than 2022 for everyone. Anyway, leave a like, hit my face here to subscribe. Let's get that small number to a big number. Check out these videos in the meantime. As always, this was Egamin. Thanks for watching, and until next time, let your imaginations run wild.